Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's Fateless podcast episode. And we have got three new guests from the Fateless team joining here. So, going to be exciting. We've got Luke, Steven, and Jonathan. So, good to see all of you. I guess first we'll just do some quick intros and kind of let you introduce yourselves to the Fateless community. And we can start with you, Luke.
Yeah, so I am a VFX artist currently working on Godforge with my fellow VFX artists Steven and Jonathan over here. A bit newer to the industry than Steven or Jonathan, but yeah, I mean, it's been a blast to work on and work with them. So that's just a little bit about me.
Did you have any favorite games growing up or a certain expertise in anything like that?
I'm a big Majora's Mask guy. I've kind of always been Legend of Zelda, like Majora's Mask and stuff like that. But I played a lot of Smite, which was really funny when I got put on the
Well, there you go.
project.
That
I
works really
played
well
a
then with yeah.
ton of
Yeah.
Smite. So it all comes full circle.
They just released Smite 2 beta or something recently, didn't they? Did
Yeah,
you
they're
get
trying
into
to
that?
update it to Unreal Engine 5, which is that's a whole thing. That sounds like a big undertaking. So, hopefully they can get that done. But I put in a ton of time. I was actually like the 69th best Fafnir on PS5 or something at one point. I have a picture of it forever ago. So,
Yeah,
That's
but
that's
awesome,
impressive.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Heck yeah. And the Super Nintendo Zelda is probably the first game in my whole life, like my childhood, that I went like try hard on and tried to,
oh
you
yeah.
know. So
hmm
so I could definitely relate to the Zelda love. So
hmm
yeah, thanks, Luke. And then go ahead, Steven.
Hi, everyone. My name is Steven. I'm working on Godforge, visual effects artist. My background is a little bit interesting. I actually studied illustration and fine art and worked as a freelance artist before going back to school and studying game art, which led into visual effects. And I've got about 8, 9 years of experience in the industry. I've worked on real time stuff and cinematic stuff. Uh, Big titles for me are Kina, Bridge of Spirits, and Mortal Kombat Onslaught. That's games. Play a lot of Heroes of the Storm. I'm super in love with Expedition 33 right now. I like Mechabellum. Grew up on Final Fantasy. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Yeah, all great choices. I haven't gotten to Expedition 33 yet, but I'm
Oh,
definitely gonna do that
so
soon.
good, so
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
I've heard nothing but good things, so I'll definitely play through it soon here. Awesome, thanks. And then Jonathan.
Hey, my name's Jonathan. I'm a visual effects artist at Fateless as well. My previous jobs are kind of all over the place in the 3D entertainment industry. I started in doing commercial work for almost 2 years before breaking into games actually with cinematic work on Fortnite, which was fun. And then after that, I met Steven for the first time. We worked on Mortal Kombat Onslaught together.
Yeah.
Which is yeah, good times, good times. And then
Oh yeah. Yeah.
even got to do some AR work actually for the SpongeBob Super Bowl in 24. So that was fun. Yeah.
Okay,
Uh,
awesome.
game.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Games mainly. I think I have a couple thousand hours in Dota. Um, and then lately transitioned to like Metroidvanias, Nine Souls, Hollow Knight, stuff like that. Yeah.
Very cool.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then kind of so what brought you all to Fateless and Godforge? Did you
Yeah. I
kind of
forgot that part.
did you see what was going on with the project and reach out, or did someone reach out to you and kind of what was your first impressions of the project and all that good stuff? I
Well,
can go with you, Steven. You look like you were ready.
oh yeah, yeah. So Jonathan had mentioned I worked with Jonathan and Brian, who's the visual effects lead on Godforge, and they were already on the project. I hadn't actually ever been in this space of like this game type, but I've gotten to test out our game and play it, and it's really really cool, cinematic, and so I dig it now, but I didn't really live there previously. But yeah, I just got as Godforge was expanding, I got invited into the team by knowing Jonathan and Brian. You know, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. And then was it kind of a similar story for you, Jonathan and Luke?
Yeah, I reached out to Brian. I think this was closer to the end of last year. And I was like, "Hey, are you working on any cool projects?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm actually gonna be starting on this really cool project for Godforge." And I was like, "Oh, tell me more about it." And then we started chatting. And then eventually he pulled me on, about like January this year.
Cool. And Luke?
Yeah. Similar thing to me. It was I met Brian much later than Steven and Jonathan did, obviously. I connected with Brian through a connection of the first place I ever worked, and we never actually met because when I left the project, he started on the project as a VFX artist. So it was like a ships passing in the night thing. Then we connected through someone else, and I sort of was just going to like pick his brain for a question, and then we kind of started about talking about what he was working on and if I'd be interested in coming on. And just as Godforge, like I said, has expanded, I got kind of brought into the fold. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I know we're coming up to a super exciting time here. Well, it feels like that's always the case because there's always, an alpha around the corner or a
Mhm.
content lock. So
Yeah.
are you guys?
Always moving.
Yeah, yeah. Trying to get a game done at this scope as fast as we're trying to do it. There's always something around the corner the next week. But is it like has it ramped up for you guys, or are you like stressed out about the content lock coming here soon, where we've got to get the game ready for like early access and all of that? Or are you guys kind of feeling good about where you're at on all the graphical and VFX stuff that you're working on?
Um, for myself, I I'm feeling really good. We are moving at a breakneck pace, but we worked really hard to develop a pipeline. We call an elemental library. It's just a name for a thing that allows us to scale out with the number of characters available in Godforge. So by having a resource of as fire stuff comes in, we have those resources to start new fire based characters more quickly. That has grown over this alpha period, and so it's it's stressful, but it's exciting. It's not terrible. It's just we're always moving. Like a lot happening.
Yeah, because if the players or listeners aren't familiar with what he's talking about, I believe you're talking about like the energy types where we've got
Oh, excuse me. So
like fire,
yeah,
electrical, and
yeah.
molten, and
So yeah, one of the cool things about Godforge, sorry, put on my non VFX
oh, you're
hat,
good, you're
right?
good.
So Godforge is like this super cinematic and like kind of narrative universe with like well-defined magic types, that like we call elements, but it's like fire, electricity, water, air, but also interesting things like dark aether and death and poison and they're all tied to where these characters come from and what their abilities are, and there's hundreds of these characters. So as we to keep the look, the scope of that is really massive. So to keep the look kind of unified across the board and to make it easier for us as a team of artists, we define those things and sort of check them into what we call an elemental library. So if like a mage that is like a person, with arms and legs and using a staff and summons a fireball and shoots a fireball, we produce all of those effects in a way to where they're categorized in this library, and then the next time we do something with fire, we go in and we kind of check out from that library. And so not only does it keep the same look once we've nailed that, it also gives us a leg up. So now, oh, this person can shoot a fireball with maybe a spirally doodad around it, or their character shoots frogs that explode on fire, or and we're kind of ready to jump on that. And in the future, if we're like, hey, we want all of the fire things to have more smoke, we can do it at this library level, and then it propagates out amongst all of the characters.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and if I ever ask a question or something, I don't work with you guys on a daily basis, so just feel free to
Mhm.
jump in without me calling on you, or
Yeah.
just jump in. We'll have fun with it and just
Yeah.
casually talk.
Yeah.
But like, so as you develop this pipeline, how much faster would you say we are now, compared to when you joined the team? Is like, I don't know, is it 3x, 5x, 10x?
Well,
Like,
Jonathan
way
probably has the most
faster.
experience, yeah, because he's been here the longest. But yeah.
I think maybe yeah, honestly 3 to 5. I think we coming in here I used to take maybe like 3 to 5 days to work on like a single character's ability back then when we were building everything out from scratch. Just from the start we need to figure out how like the whole character law and like how they're going to move and do all this magic. And now it's all like, oh, he's going to be swinging his sword with a really powerful slash. We have that in multiple elements and we just kind of mix and match like a little toolbox. Back then, we were just trying to build out said toolbox.
Yeah, and it gives us a really nice base to work from. So every time that we go through, not only do we mix and match, we're trying to push the fidelity of the visuals as high as we can go. We're trying to
Yeah,
add
that's
things and
the
make things
fun part.
unique,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
the reality of moving at such a breakneck pace is that obviously in an ideal world we would make everything unique all the time for everything because it would look great. But that's not really doable considering how fast we're going. And so just being able to still experiment and move things around is really, really fun.
And what would be like the pipeline, from the concept to what the player sees in game? Because you guys are mainly doing things like, you know, uh, Zeus casts a spell, and the player seeing like the lightning go off everywhere. Is that kind of like mainly
Yeah.
your guys' duty on setting that
Yeah.
up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we start, so where our pipeline starts is sort of the tail end of the other departments, but things like the characters art, their model, their animation, design, right, has come in. We start on design documents. That's part of our scouting process. We look to design, we look to what's been made, and then that's an empty scene, if you were, so the character is just gestating and nothing is happening, you know, and from there we look to build a narrative over that ability. So, like you said, Zeus might summon energy. He's going to chuck a lightning bolt at them. So, well, what does that mean? Where does that energy come from? Usually it's from our game, it's like from the world itself, from the floor, then it goes into the god, and then it's on the god's hand, and then the projectile appears, and then the projectile flies out, and there's a moment of indication that that's happening, like a muzzle flash on a gun. And so we have to identify kind of all those pieces and then build them out, and then once they're all together, you get, oh, Zeus just charges up and throws lightning. It looks like a cohesive kind of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
A big
Go ahead.
for me, a big part of it, at least the way that I think about it, is always like, how can I make this thing look as if it were always part of what's being seen? Like the reality of the pipeline, like Steven talked about, was that we are kind of at the end of it. But I'm always thinking about how can we make this thing feel like it's always been this complete package, and it just has always made sense, and it's so natural for the character.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
good.
yeah, I agree. It's like I think of it more of like how the players actually would see it, because as a player you don't want to be able to kind of notice any like jarring effects, anything that would pull you out. And so everything needs to kind of flow smoothly from their perspective. And like how Steven said, how everything kind of comes from the ground and connects up. We think of the story beats to the character in a sense, and what the players get eventually is just sort of a smooth flow as they play the game.
Yeah, and do any of you have like a favorite thing you've worked on that the public has seen, like in the alpha, where you're like, did you see Hell's Ultimate? Yeah, that was me. Like, do you have anything that's like your favorite that you've kind of brought
Um,
to the alpha yet?
yeah, I mean, I have one. One is, I was really shocked to see Heimdall like in the limelight, like because he had that bug, right? He was like the secret, right, to like cracking the game early. So
He was super strong in
players,
every alpha
right,
phase. Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Right. And then but then he's also like featured, a lot, and he's just one of the first characters that have been featured in a lot of public stuff. And I got to work on Heimdall's effects, and they were it's a super fun character. Like Jonathan was saying, like we're looking for story and narrative beats, and those beats are usually they're handed off to us from the other teams, design and animation and character art. And then it's almost like a dance, and we're just going to carry that dance through in a very natural way on through the visual effects. So it can literally be like a beat where it's like, oh, the character, revs up and holds and then slams, and it's like da da da, and it's like we're looking to like kind of put that energy into that specific version of that character's effect. So while we'll like have this library of fire effects, the unique thing on each character might be the way that effect happens, but also the movement or like narrative beats of that. Does it like go out fast and then slow way down or bounce or these kind of things. We're looking to like create. We're having fun with it. Thinking of the player, it's like, oh, they're really gonna like this. It's like, oh, they're gonna like when this big thing comes out of the ground and fills up the whole game space, or goes, like front to back in that space, or things that are like movements that are fun to be part of.
Yeah,
But that
Heimdall
don't.
kind of like slams down, and then the ice just
Yeah,
like takes over everywhere. So you're saying that was kind of like something you worked on?
yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yeah. So in Heimdall's ultimate, it's like he comes in with this cool, like he pulls the sword back, and then he comes down, and then he slams into the ground, and it's like, so that beat is that animation, but then I come through and I added the frost energy that builds up over the sword that turns into this big ice wall that comes up, and it's like if you heard the first three notes of the song, hopefully I'm just like the fourth note kind of we're like fitting into it,
Yeah,
kind of thing. Yeah.
and I've never worked on VFX. Are you going through like frame by frame and
Oh
adding
yeah.
stuff? Or you just build the effect and then
Absolutely.
you like time it and or like slow it up, speed it
So
down, or
yeah, for like I'll let them answer too, but like we're looking at things at like hundreds of times slower than actual play rates. We're going frame by frame. We're constantly one type of effect might have what we call modules, which are like pieces of an effect, and it might have 30 modules in it, and like each of those modules have to be like separated and timed out and looked at in various speeds, so it's kind of like old school animation when you see them drawing and flipping pages, and like they're just constantly, we are doing a version of that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, because at the end of the day, it is animation. Like
Yeah.
we do work. It's called visual effects, but it very much so falls underneath the umbrella of animation. But it tends to be, depending upon what your project is, it tends to be more technical than hand drawn. There are plenty of hand drawn projects, but typically speaking, it's a technical form of animation and like a kind of a within the elbow of art and tech, so to speak, which is really fun. I always really like that duality of things.
and Luke, did you have a favorite
Yeah,
like him with
yeah.
Heimdall?
I worked on Quetzalcoatl, and that was when we were first. I started, and then my first like 2 week block of a sprint was like 2 weeks before the alpha. So like very breakneck start. And then once that passed, I was like, oh, we were working on the library and trying to define things. And so I was like, I want to do Quetzalcoatl because he was water, and I just think he is such a cool model, and it's so visually distinct from like the humanoid characters. And he was definitely my favorite to work on because it was the first time I was like, I want to define something, and I really pushed myself and I really enjoyed it. And he's just super cool. He's just neat looking.
He is very cool.
Yeah, definitely. And then what about you, Jonathan? Did you have one that sticks out to you?
My favorite that I worked on was actually not quite a character. It's actually Fafnir, the world boss. It was really fun.
Yeah.
Uh,
Really
Big
fun
dragon.
working on the the
Yeah.
big dragon is fun working on like the flamethrowers and like kind of just seeing it kind of burn the player's party really. It was really fun to define that look.
So we've
Enjoyed it a
got
lot.
Jonathan's the fire expert, and then Steven's the ice expert, and then Luke, you're the water. Do I got it here? Or
Yeah, pretty
yeah.
much. Yeah.
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 It's kind of
Yeah.
it's kind of funny that you mentioned that. It's like we go through a process where, certain schools are defined, but they we always come up to a point where they are not. So it's like what Luke was talking about with water, like that didn't exist at all. So Luke had the work of not only doing everything we said, but like looking at other elements in the library, in Godforge and being like, oh, what would water look like here?
Yeah.
And
Trying to match
now
the style of the
yeah,
game really.
yeah. Now we all look to that original work and have expanded on it, for every time water comes up. And it's the same, like I did some ice. My big one was probably Dark Aether, probably. Jonathan is like our like fire all the way, big dragon, but we've all done a little bit in each, and it's like really important to like we're making Godforge, right? We're not like making my version of fire and like Luke's version of fire, and it all kind of stays together.
Yeah, that's amazing. And is there anything that you guys think would be worth kind of talking about and conveying to the community that's super cool about the way we're doing VFX or things to expect in the future that I wouldn't be educated enough to ask about because I wouldn't understand from your end?
Hmm. I would say
Um,
probably something that's really nice to see is something I guess to get excited about is just the fact that as this library builds and as we work on each other's work and as it sort of compounds and stacks, it's only going to improve. Like that's one of the really big advantages of working in this very team oriented way, of hey, you're going to do this and I'm going to do this and we're going to do that. And so it just keeps layering and improving and getting better and better. So as time goes on with Godforge, something I think that the community and the players can really look forward to is that fact that the work is done and the base work is done and the foundation is set and it's only going to keep getting better and more interesting.
yeah.
I think in the Gacha hero collector community, we call it VFX power creep, where new characters get added and they just keep looking cooler and cooler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 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 The I would definitely say something that's kind of cool is internally every time I open up the game and see the teams work, I'm always constantly impressed. Like every team, right? And it feels like the community has been that way as well. And they're, just by the nature of how development works, like they're behind what we see, right? So if the community is already excited, and they already think things are cool, I mean, I can't wait to show them,
Mm-hmm.
because it just keeps getting better. And it's super exciting to see their reaction. Yeah, I love reading comments and stuff, but I think it's, um we're going into this period of time where like we call it content lock, where instead of like pushing, we're only looking to like fix visual bugs and add polish that we didn't have time for in the first pass. But one of the exciting things is like by the time we get there, we've all grown as a team and as artists in this library, so that when we do that polish pass, it's like, yeah, it looks cool, but it's really gonna sing, thing like everything's just gonna look super cool. So it's a really cool time.
Yeah, and we should probably explain what that means from your perspective in terms of content lock from the viewers. So when this episode comes out, we will be basically like 1 week from content lock. So from the visual effects side, do you guys have everything done by then? And now you're spending like a week polishing? Because what content lock means is we don't want to be like starting from scratch on something new. We're trying to get everything into early access and get it as good as possible. So is that where you guys are going to kind of stand? I don't know who the best is to answer that, but
That is the hope.
Yeah, that's the goal. Certainly the
Yeah.
goal. Yeah, thankfully this has sort of been in content lock. It's sort of been in the works for a while, and so it's something we've been able to plan around, thankfully. So it's not like, I mean, there's some scramble just because that's kind of how that always goes, but it's not like it's not like in the games industry where there's crunch and we're working
Yeah.
120 hours a week and blah, 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 blah. It's nothing. Sometimes there's all hands on deck, and that's the way it goes, but it's not something that's really stressful or anything like that. Yeah, we're just kind of getting everything in, and it's looking
Yeah.
good, and it'll be nice to be able to go back to some stuff and really tune them, because
Yeah.
nothing is ever done in game production.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever done. It's done because it's good enough and you have to move on. It's never like to you finished
Yeah,
necessarily.
that is the I've
Mm.
learned I mean I've been in gaming for forever, but from like the content creator or like the pro gamer side of things. So
Mhm.
yeah, I've learned that you're kind of you always feel like, gosh, if I just had one more week. You always feel
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. That's just a
Yeah.
permanent feeling that
Yeah.
that you're gonna have, because
That
we
is yeah.
we want to get the game out as fast as possible, because the players are excited about it, and then we're excited for players to play it, and so you constantly want to kind of do things as fast as possible, but also as
Mhm.
good as possible, and it's finding that line,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is tough to walk.
Yeah. I think luckily we've taken the time, and Fateless as a whole has allowed us all the time to like build the tools we need, so that this is not it's an intense time, but it's not like a terror crunch. It's like we're gonna get through to what we call content lock, and then that just means that we're continuing to knock out like any kind of like checking things off the list. It's like, oh, we wish there was a little bit of puff of frost here, or oh, I noticed this fire disappears. Why is that happening? Let me fix that real quick. So we're just going through and tidying up everything.
Is there any hero from the alpha that you did go back and be like, we feel like we could have done a lot better here, and you kind of redid like an ultimate or something? Is there anything that like the player would notice, like, oh, okay, this hero's ultimate's a lot different, or has it kind of like been subtle polishing on the stuff that was in alpha?
It depends. It
Yeah.
depends, because one thing that jumps out to me, something I worked on, because I did water and then I defined wind. I went back and I worked on Sphinx, because that was a big thing of like, hey, we really want to go back and just redo this character. Like, there are constraints, things happen, but it depends. Sometimes they're smaller, sometimes they're really big, sometimes they're an entire character. And then other times it is just like a lot of polishing that adds up to a much larger
Yeah.
whole.
Yeah.
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 For-
I know there's definitely work redone on some of the starter characters for sure. I think even both Ramses and Lady Jacques have been reworked a little for the visual effects, just because we're not using the stuff from the library versus previously when it was just kind of made from scratch. And
Yeah, and
also it's like the
I
initial.
think Ramses was the first one we did VFX for.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few of them are super old. Like Set, is another one. Yeah. I'm super excited for Pandora. She was my first legendary character that I did all the visual effects for, and people seem to really like her, but it's like I can see that like her effects aren't firing the way that I want. So it's like if they like that, they're gonna really like when I get a second to just, noodle a little bit and get it working.
I don't know if that was a leak or not, but Pandora was an epic in the alpha. You said
Oh wait, was she
legendary.
an epic?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought. Oh, okay. Well, my apologies to the community. Sometimes there's hundreds of these characters. It's hard to keep track. So I was just totally wrong on
I
that.
thought we were
but-
getting this amazing leak here from Steven
Oh,
that
no,
Pandora's
yeah,
getting bumped
yeah.
up to legendary.
To me, she's legendary.
That's
Yeah,
right. It
yeah.
is insanely tough from the design side, because all of these myths and legends are so cool. And it's like
Mhm.
we want all of them to be legendary, but it's like we have to make epics and rares, and then literally no matter
Yeah.
what you do, there's gonna be people like, what? Pandora's not a legendary? Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? So like,
Yeah.
and no matter what one you pick, it's gonna be
Yeah.
tough. So, but one thing I do have to ask everybody here and give them time to answer when we got three of you. When it's your first time on the channel, we'll go in the opposite order this time. So Jonathan, we'll start with you. Is there something that wasn't in alpha that Fateless hasn't talked about to the public yet that you think would be awesome to get in the game and you would be excited to work on? Like a certain hero out there from a
Oh.
certain lore or legend. Like we've had people say William Wallace from Braveheart. Like, oh, I'd love to, put him in the game and work on like. So we'll let each one of you kind of pick one, and I'll start with you, Jonathan.
Something that hasn't been released to the public yet.
Yep.
I would say we have a lot of Asgardian characters, and I would love to work on Nidhogg, the drake that bites at the roots of the world tree. I think that would be really fun, whether as a character or a boss or something. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And none of these are either a yes or a no for being in the game. So here you can say whatever, and none of this is confirmed. But yeah, that's a great answer. Go ahead, Steven.
But what it's cheesy, but I would just love to see like Tolkien characters in it, like Gandalf, or things like that. But I don't know if that counts.
Hey, I think it counts if that's your
Yeah.
favorite hero that you think would be. I mean, obviously, yeah. There's so many there that would be amazing. Gandalf would fit our universe for sure.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
a collab would be great. Yeah, I'm just saying.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I know, it's not classic mythology, but I just love those characters. That would be fun.
Yeah, definitely. And then Luke.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna kind of follow up, I guess, off of Jonathan. I would really like to see Jormungandr or Ratatoskr or something in there. Just I like creatures. Like people are all well and good, but I like a little creature. I like just like a big dragon or like a little squirrel guy. And I think it'd just be so fun to work. I would say Ratatoskr because I just think it sounds fun to work on. I feel like his effects would have lots of like nuts and acorns and stuff, and I think that it would be like a really fun thing, and that would be like kind of goofy and sort of removed from the more serious tone of Godforge and just like a nice break of pace to make a little squirrel. I think
Yeah,
it'd be fun.
did any of you play like Conker's Bad Fur Day?
I did,
Oh
yeah.
no, before
Oh,
my
okay.
time, so to speak.
But yeah, it
Yeah.
kind of reminds me. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. Yeah, great answers. Well, guys, this has been a blast. Is there any final thoughts or anything I didn't ask that you'd love to talk about? Anything I Cool. Okay. Awesome. Well, hey,
Huh?
it's been a blast having you guys here at
Yeah.
Fateless. Luke, Steven, Jonathan, keep crushing it. Loving the VFX progress in the game. And I can't wait to see what it all looks like on early access. And thanks all of you for watching. We're gonna have all the links down below if you want to pop into the Fateless Discord and talk Godforge, ask any questions, give any input, stuff like that. And yeah, we will see you soon in the next Fateless podcast episode. Cheers.